Hey, Coach, so excited you found us on YouTube. Couple things. First of all, go subscribe. We put a new video out every day. Not everyone will be the one you want, but it will give you a notification. Hit that little bell. Second thing is go over and check out teachhoops.com for coaches who want to get better. Videos, resources, mentoring, office hours, one-on-one calls, you name it. We've got it. Let us help give you some banners and put them in your gym. Let me help you do that. Go over and check it out, teachhoops.com. Let's head off to the video.
All right, welcome to Coaching Youth Hoops. Coach Bill.
Favorite time of the year coming up, Coach.
I know it's getting cold out, and it seems like yesterday we were sitting at the lake.
Seriously,
coffee.
I know, dude. You're gonna laugh at me, but there was frost on the windows out here in California the other day. Yeah, it was 30 some degrees.
I just read an article that San Diego, LA, and Santa Barbara are three of the most expensive places to live in the country. I was surprised like San Francisco wasn't in.
Everybody's moving out of San Francisco.
Yeah.
They have an image issue going on right now.
They do have a major, from someone that was there this year and at Napa, they haven't. It's true. Sorry if you
hopefully they'll fix it. So
they'll fix it. It's too beautiful of a city not to fix.
Right. Exactly. So they gotta fix it.
It's like, holy crud. All right. So before we jump in, I talked about this last week. I really want to push everyone to go over and check out our Facebook group, Coaching Youth Hoops. You can just go to Facebook, go to groups and type in Coaching Youth Hoops. You'll find it. It's a free resource. It's a great community of youth coaches.
Excited, great school. Yeah. And they're all youth coaches, right?
Right.
So
yes. And it's monitored, and it's going to be good discussions. No one's going to be selling you uniforms or anything like that. It's people talking about youth basketball. That's what they're doing. Asking questions, responding,
giving feedback, responding.
I mean, very rarely do we not get like 15, 20 responses to any question. It's like,
everybody's jumping in, especially this time of the year, right? It's pretty active and it's growing. So it's I asked a few questions too. I just wanted to get some other feedback. I was pleasantly surprised by the responses and new ideas. So jump on over to the Facebook group.
I'm an old porch dog, but I'm still learning. I know.
That's right. You always have to learn.
All right, so what's today's topic?
Today, we're going to talk about a controversy. Okay. Ooh. So this was brought up. You actually forwarded it to me. It was a discussion on Twitter. Shout out to John Carrier who brought it up. There's a coach from Europe. His name is Alex. He posted a video that says pass and cut is the worst thing you can do in basketball. That was his statement. And then
he talked about it for a while.
25,000 views on the video. Lots of good discussion about, people disagreeing with him, agreeing with him. Why? My take now after watching it several times, it was probably cut. And that clip, just like you can make anybody, right? You can cut somebody's clip and they can bring this up. He was probably thinking about a bigger strategy. Right.
And he talked about NBA. He goes, when do you see, I think in the clip he talks about.
Says, when do you see pass and cut in the NBA? Right.
Okay.
Yep. Okay. That's the NBA, right? You can't. So is pass. So I'll ask you, is pass and cut the worst thing you can do in youth basketball?
No.
Yeah, I agree. Why?
It's not. You're playing zone for 36 minutes, the worst thing you can do in youth basketball. But that's a different topic. So again, the difference between a fifth grader and LeBron James is probably 5 standard deviations from the mean. And if you go 3 standard deviations from the mean, I'm going to stats talk you right now. It's 99.7%. It is, you aren't even in the same universe. You are in another universe when you're talking about the difference between NBA players and youth players. Most youth players, okay, there are exceptions to it, but most youth players. So I agree. It's probably overused. I agree. It's the first thing they want to do. I agree that it's an easy thing to teach. However, I do believe it has to be in the arsenal of any good offense at the youth level because it's about spacing.
That's right.
And I think at the youth level, you got to be able to space the floor. And he's talking about, why you moving, but because if you don't pass and cut, they're just going to stand.
That's right.
And there's going to be no spacing. So I think how you teach it in the context of the offense, I think I think there's some nuances that are lost in a conversation of it's the worst thing ever for youth basketball. That's my opinion.
Yeah, and I agree with you. One though, the only thing I don't agree with you on is it's an easy concept to teach, because I've been teaching pass and cut, and it's part of my ABC offense, and literally, all my ABCs always pass and cut, always be cutting and screening. The number of players that stand still after a pass, right, or do nothing, it drives me crazy. I always like movement to create gaps and triple gaps, right? So without the cut, the defender has to do less work, in my opinion. But to get that ingrained in a youth's mind to, after you pass, you cut, or after you pass, you screen. Standing still is not an option, but yet, they're still standing still in a lot of cases.
Right. So let's think about the options. I pass to you on a wing, Bill.
Mhm.
You're on a wing, I pass. What are the things that I can do as a player at that point?
Yeah, you can screen me.
Yep.
You can off ball screen.
Yep.
And you can drive.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. Those are the things that's what I can do, right? I mean, I can't do, there's not 23 things I can do at that point. There's only a handful. And I think if you take one of them out, okay, are you only going to set ball screens? Am I only going to set screen away? Am I only like what that would be my question is like, what do you expect youth? And again, youth coaches, couple practices a week, I think it's probably the easiest skill to teach. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, and I do. And I
in
think
offense.
Well, and I think what that does, it takes the decision away from the youth player. Again, I think that's also a good thing until they learn how to make reads and the right read. And that takes time. That takes a lot of reps. And I'm sure you struggle with it at the high school level. So, by taking away and saying, okay, just like you laid out, you got three things you could do. In our offense, you're going to do you're going to do two things, right? One is going to be a cut, and maybe one is going to be a screen away. And then, right, so that's all you got to do. It's all you got to remember right now.
Yeah. And I think his point, and again, I'm trying to remember the clip, but I think part of his point was you should teach them to read 100%. But I have a kid over here that can't dribble. And I have a kid over here that probably should be playing up 2 grade levels.
That's right. Yes.
I'm a youth basketball coach. Now, again, there's scales to that too.
Correct.
Obviously, you should be teaching them to do reads, and you should be teaching them to find space, and you should be teaching them. But sometimes you got to break it down from a long time teacher. Sometimes you got to break the skills down to the basics.
Yeah.
And you want that movement and that spacing, I think is just as important. I don't know what you think, but
I agree. And I had this discussion with my team the other day, and I'm like, why do we even run an offense? Like, why? Like, why do you have to run a set, pattern? Ideally we want them to, 4 people on the court creating reads. I guess even 5 with the ball, but everybody without the ball definitely making those reads. What I explained to them is like, so I know what all my other teammates are doing, right? So we don't run into one another, so to speak, right? And again, I think that goes back to here explaining that at the youth level. You don't want them, they freeze because they don't know what to do. What do I do at this point? Do I cut? Do I screen? Do I screen away?
Right.
Do I do anything? So giving them 3 choices or 3 possibilities in your offense, and maybe even just doing 2 of those possibilities is even better.
Well, when I'm breaking it down, all I do is tell them to pass and cut. Like that's the first layer.
That's the first layer. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So I understand the read. I mean, eventually I don't let them do it at all. Like, in my rule of 3 offense, it's like eventually I get rid of that layer and I say, once you pass, you can't cut. Because that's
what do
all
you
they
do in
want.
your rule of 3 then?
Well, then they got to go screen away, or they got to screen the ball.
I see what you're saying.
I take that layer away because that's all they do is start. It's like they're passing, cutting. And I think that's part of his argument too, is that's all he sees is passing and cutting. Yeah, once you get that skill down, okay, now we got to add a layer to that skill. So you almost got to take the skill away from them and then add them, okay, now you got to pass and screen away, right? Only passing, so you got to add to it. But I mean, again, it's a valid argument. I mean, as far as scoring and some of those things, I don't know if it's quite as an effective way to score is that passing cuts.
Yeah. Well, because it's an art too. You got to learn how to pass,
make that pass, to catch it, to finish in traffic.
Like
I mean,
those
are difficult things. All right. Anything else on this topic, Coach?
Nope. I think we covered that well. So yes, passing cut. I think we both agree that you should keep it as at the youth level until they can make reads.
All right. Till next week.
Till next week.
Hey, Coach. So glad you enjoyed that video. Hope you did, at least. Let me know how I can help. Join Teachhoops.com. I've been through it all. I've won championships, got a lot of rings. Let me know how I can help you become a better basketball coach, too.